our day. They were Jamal Nasser in Egypt. He is alleged to have used chemical weapons in northern Yemen in the civil war there, although he denied it. And we have Saddam Hussein, who used it against the Kurds in northern Iraq, who again was, as you know, a socialist, nationalist leader. And then we also have what? Most recently, Assad in Syria, who uses genocide and chemical weapons against his citizens in the name of what? Secularism. Right? Okay? So this is has been basically the modern period. The modern period in world history has seen more loss of life than any other period in world history as far as we know. And so we can say that through this, if we accept this, the loss of innocent life as an objective standard of evil, for sure the modern period in which secularism, materialism, and atheism became dominant has been the most evil period in world history. Okay? So here, let us consider some of the objections or questions or arguments atheists have against people who believe in God, right? So what are the atheist arguments against people who believe in God? The simplest argument is that what? That they say we don't see God. Okay? And so they say since they do not see God, they will not believe in God. Okay? We say that is quite preposterous. Why? Because that assumes that our sensory organs are our only source of knowledge. Right? But we also have reason through which we can make conclusions about sensory data. How is that? For example, you see a palace, right? And you see it's beautiful, and it's regular, and it's graceful, and you've never seen the architect. And you will probably never see the architect. But looking at the palace, although you never see the architect, you don't have a doubt that the palace has an architect. Okay? So we say, denying that the maker of something because you don't see them is simply preposterous. As a universal statement, it's an utter failure. Okay? What are other atheist arguments against religion? They say what? That people follow religion blindly. They believe in dogmas. They do not, what? Think. They don't reflect. Right? So, is this true? As regards to Islam, it's certainly not true. Why is that? Because, again, in our religion and in our civilization, we consider that belief in God cannot be based upon imitation. Okay? Belief in God has to be based upon proof. There have been, this might surprise some of you, there have been some ulama who have said that if somebody says that I believe in Islam because my parents believe in Islam, out of pure imitation, there have been some ulama who have seen this as kufr. And that such a person is not even Muslim. Now, most ulama don't say that. Most ulama say, as long as you have certainty in God and Messenger, then you are considered a Muslim. But everyone agrees that imitation in faith is not allowed. Okay? So, quite to the contrary of the atheist claim, in Islam we say that we don't say that you should believe in dogmas in which you don't have proof of. To the contrary, we say that every Muslim should have a proof of God's existence and the veracity of the claims of the prophets. Okay? Now this doesn't have to be a 20-step logical argument. It could be something basic, right? It could be that you look at, as the Quran says, the creation of the heavens and the earth, and you say it must have a creator. But we do not accept and we do not appreciate blind imitation as an acceptable form of religion. To the contrary. Okay? What is another atheist accusation against religion? There is injustice in the world. Okay? And so how come do we have injustice? Of all the different accusations, this is probably the most stupid. Okay? Why is that? Well, we ask the atheist this question: if somebody commits injustice against you, who do you hold responsible? Probably they will say what? I will hold responsible the person who commits the crime. Okay? And so we say, if you commit a crime, who do you hold responsible? Probably they will say that they hold themselves responsible if they commit a crime. Right? So now we ask them, how come if you say that the person responsible for a crime is the person who commits it, you hold God responsible for the crimes everyone else commits? Right? So now, do you want to be a tree? Do you want to be a plant? Do you want to be a robot? Or do you appreciate volition? Do you appreciate choice? Now, if you do appreciate volition and choice and see that something as positive, then we have to accept the fact that some people will make bad choices. If and when they do make bad choices, they are the ones responsible for these choices. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not responsible for these choices. Right? This is very important in our theology, in our concept of justice. The Quran brought this revolutionary concept of justice to Arabian society, which is what? لا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى. Nobody bears the burden of another. Now you might think this is quite intuitive. It wasn't intuitive. It's still not intuitive to many people. But it was definitely not intuitive in the Arabian society. In Arabian society, pre-Islamic society, what type of justice did they have? They had tribal justice. What did that consist of? It consists of, if you kill someone from my tribe, I will kill someone from your tribe. Okay? Now, Islam completely nullified this concept of justice and brought an individual understanding of justice, where if somebody commits a crime, the person who's responsible is not the tribe, but the person who commits the crime. Okay? And so, this is what? Individual concept of justice that Islam brought to Arabian society, that revolutionized and completely changed the concept of justice that was there. And this is not only important in our justice in this world, it's also important as regards our theology, right? If you look at the Christian concept, what is the Christian religion based upon? Christian religion is based upon the idea that everybody is born with the original sin. And so, with that original sin, if that's not gone, you're going to hell. So how are you going to get rid of the original sin? God will come to the world in a human form, in the form of Jesus. Hashallah, subhanallah. And he will bear everybody's burden. And he will bear everybody's sins. And since Jesus bears everybody's sins, everyone else is going to achieve salvation. That's, in summary, the Christian notion of salvation. Right? We say what? This is preposterous. We say nobody bears the burden of another. Right? Jesus, may peace be upon him, is not responsible for the sin of any other person, and he cannot bear the burden of any other person. You follow? So what do we say? Both in our theology and in our justice, we say everybody is responsible for their own crimes, for their own sins. Now, if this is intuitive to you, how come everybody commits crimes, everybody commits sins, but God is responsible? Okay? So this is how the different accusations of the atheists. This is perhaps the most immature and the least thought of, right? What are other accusations against religion? Religions cause war. Well, we just saw that no human ideology in human history caused more deaths and more wars than atheism and secularism. Right? And so, what are other accusations against religion? There is a very common accusation, which is what? God doesn't think like me. Okay? So people reject religion because they see that God has commands in the revelation that do not suit their fancy. Okay? Again, what's the problem with this? It is purely based upon subjectivity. Meaning, people have different likes and dislikes, right? And it's impossible for revelation to include all of them, because then it will be contradictory, right? And there can be no contradiction in religion, right? The Quran says, "La ya'tihil batilu min bayni yadayhi wa min khalfihi tanzilu min hakimin hamid." Right? The batil, the false, the contradictory cannot come to the Quran from any direction. This is the revelation of the one who is all-wise and praiseworthy. So there cannot be any contradictions in religion. So if somebody says that they don't believe in God because God doesn't think like that, then they should think, well, what if other people think the same way? Then it would be impossible to have a religion, right? Because some people are going to like the exact opposite of what I like and dislike the exact opposite of what I dislike. So this idea that we're going to reject religion because it doesn't, what? Suit our subjective taste is also an invalid reason for rejecting revelation. Right? Rather, we should have a mature, objective approach. We should have objective standards. Right? Objective standards means what? It shouldn't change from person to person. Everybody should be able to see it. Right? So we say what? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala corroborates and authenticates the claim of a prophet with a miracle. That's an objective standard that everyone can appreciate who's impartial. And then we follow that revelation. And that's our standard of moral conduct. Right? Otherwise, everybody's going to have their own ideas of right and wrong, and they cannot all be valid at the same time. Right? So, basically, when you consider and reflect upon these criticisms and accusations against religion, you see that this rejection of religion is not at all based upon any sort of impartial reflection on the nature of reality. And you will see this even more if you read the work of some of the most famous atheist philosophers, such as Marx, Freud, so on and so forth. You will see that they did not reflect upon the nature of cosmos, the nature of reality, and then came to the conclusion that atheism was the best explanation. Rather, what happened is, because they saw religion represented in the form of Christianity, and they saw its attitude towards science, they rejected it. It wasn't based upon thinking about, does this creation have a creator? It wasn't based upon an impartial reflection on that question. It was based upon the historical circumstances of Europe that these atheist philosophers such as Nietzsche, Marx, Freud, they never attempted to prove atheism. They just assumed it. Okay? And so that's what we say. We say that anyone who thinks impartially and fairly about the cosmos, about our existence, will come to the conclusion that the cosmos has a creator. Right? And that's why I said, atheism is an anomaly. That most of human history, most of humanity considered believing in God to be intuitively true. Alhamdulillah, with the collapse of communism, at least atheism is gone as a state ideology, right? So that has been a very important change in world history. And so within this context, we have to think about what's the roadmap for Muslims in the environment in which we live in. So what we have to appreciate in this is that the spread of atheism among Muslims, again, is not based on any sort of impartial reflection and thinking about our deen or about the nature of the universe. It's simply following the fashion. Ibn Khaldun, the famous Muslim historian, he makes this point. He says that there is this historical pattern in which defeated people imitate their defeaters. And he says, you'll see this throughout history, that people who are defeated imitate their defeaters. They don't realize that what makes their defeaters strong is their cohesion and their devotion to one another. They think that what makes them superior are their cultures, tastes, so on and so forth, right? So, unfortunately, for many Muslims who do not reflect, they fall prey to atheism simply because it is prevalent in the Western world, and the Western world seems to have stronger military, basically. What's the best proof of this? Best proof of this is history. If you look at Muslim history, when Muslims were militarily dominant, which was basically the 1,000 years before modernity, right? Atheism was completely unheard of among Muslims. Like, you couldn't find a single person, right? So when did it start to begin? Modernism, secularism, atheism among Muslims. Once secularist modern states started winning battles, right? So unfortunately, again, any sort of spread of atheism among Muslims is basically based upon going with the flow and following the fashion. So how should we address this? We should address this in an Islamic way, which is what? Through ilm, through knowledge. Meaning we should learn our deen, we should increase the knowledge of our deen, we should also increase knowledge of our world. When atheists make, completely contradictory claims, false accusations, when they say religions killed people, when they killed more than any other ideology in world history, right? We should tell our brothers these facts, okay? Meaning what? Since atheism is based upon the ignorance of the divine, the best way to deal with it is to increase our knowledge. The more we increase our knowledge, and the more we spread this knowledge within our communities, we will what? The less people will be tempted to go with the flow, to follow the fashion, to follow popular ideologies without any reflection and without any knowledge. So therefore, it's very important for us to increase our knowledge of Islam. Okay? Number one. Number two, it's also very important to increase our knowledge of the world. Okay? So why? Because if we increase our knowledge of revelation, but we don't have knowledge of this world, this creates a weakness. Okay? We have to appreciate that just as the Quran is what? Consists of the ayat, signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The cosmos also consists of the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning, there are revealed signs of Allah and there are created signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How do we know this? Again, from the same ayah, which Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to read in his tahajjud. إِنَّ فِي عَلْكِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Right? So in the creation of the heavens and the earth, alternation of night and day, there are ayat. So just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls the Quran his ayat, He calls the cosmos as his ayat. Okay? So we cannot ignore the cosmos as a source of knowledge, because it is also a manifestation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's being and attributes. It is the manifestation of His creativity, right? Okay? So now, just as we have to increase our knowledge of revelation, we have to increase our knowledge of the cosmos, because they're both signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will both take us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You follow? So it's very important that we integrate the study of revelation and the study of the cosmos in our lives and in our civilizations. And we haven't done a very good job at this. Okay? Why do I say this? Many times the cases in the Muslim countries and even in here is what people come to study the deen, revelation in madrasas, in the mosque, and they go with Muslims and they go to study the cosmos with atheists, materialists in universities. Right? So they learn the knowledge of revelation from Muslims and knowledge of the cosmos from non-Muslims. And this causes a dichotomy, this causes a cognitive dissonance in their understanding. So what should our goal be? Our goal should be to have Muslim universities that combine and bring together the study of revelation and the study of cosmos as the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So in this respect, I have to say that Darul Qasim, where I teach, is very important. We're trying to establish Darul Qasim as an Islamic university that has both the study of revelation and cosmos as signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we hope that if Darul Qasim is established as an Islamic university, and there are other institutions that are established, Muslim institutions, that do not segregate and separate revealed knowledge and reason and empirical knowledge, but that unite them, this will be a great service to Muslims. And it will, I think, eliminate many factors that cause Muslims to not reflect on revelation, not reflect on this world, but simply follow the fashion around them. So, again, the way forward is what? To follow the dua of the Prophet ﷺ. What was his dua that Allah commanded him to do in the Quran? قُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. Our Lord, increase our knowledge. That should be our dua, and we should make that dua not just with our tongues, but we should make that dua physically as well. Meaning, that's what we should invest in. We should invest in increasing our knowledge of revelation and increasing our knowledge of the cosmos. And I think that's the way forward.
Well, we're getting close to Isha time, and the Muaddin needs to come and make the Adhan, inshallah.
Sure, sure.
Can you give us a quick dua in summary?
Sure. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا زدنا علما اللهم صل على رسولنا محمد والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين